sounds just like a lie. Straighten up and fly right. Straighten up.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Washington Ohide Foundation Executive Director, Mike Manitas.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the singing of the Greek and U.S. national anthems by Ariana George.
Σε γνωρίζα από την κόψη του σπαδιού την τρομερή. Σε γνωρίζα από την όψη που με διαμετράει την γη. Απ' τα κόκαλα διαλμένη των Ελλήνων τα ήρα και σαν πρώτα ανδριωμένη χαίρε χαίρε ελευθερία και σαν πρώτα ανδριωμένη χαίρε χαίρε ελευθερία και σαν πρώτα ανδριωμένη χαίρε χαίρε ελευθερία. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please remain standing. This year we have a special request. Our Courage Award winner, Zarifa Ghafari, has asked if we could play the national anthem of her country of Afghanistan. So Zarifa, this is for you. Please be seated.
The courage of the Greek people against Hitler's Axis forces and the Holocaust that was recognized by American and world leaders to have changed the course of history has almost been forgotten. The Washington Oxi Day Foundation, comprised of several dedicated Hellenes, has brought back to life the story of Oxi Day, the Battle of Crete, the Greek Orthodox Church's public opposition to the Holocaust, stories of the Greeks' David versus Goliath courage that changed the trajectory of the Second World War. Now these stories are being told by some of the most admired people on the planet.
The Oxi Day Foundation is about making clear to all of us that men and women of honor choose the right course, even when it's the harder course. When evil knocked on the door at 3 a.m., the reply was Oxi.
The Greek Prime Minister answered the Axis forces' request for surrender with one word, Oxi, or no.
After the world watched the Axis forces overwhelm 15 countries in less than a year, Greece became the first to defeat the Axis invasion, leading United States President Franklin Roosevelt to say, when the entire world had lost all hope, the Greek people dared to question the invincibility of the German monster, raising against it in the proud spirit of freedom.
In the very place where democracy was born, they risked everything so that it might survive.
This is the essence, in so many ways, of Greek courage.
The Greek people who stood up so valiantly for freedom and democracy against the seemingly unstoppable Nazis.
It was Winston Churchill who noted, if there had not been the virtue and courage of the Greeks, we do not know what the outcome of World War II would have been. Winston Churchill had it right when he said, and I quote, hence, we will not say that Greeks fight like heroes, but that heroes fight like Greeks.
The Oxi Day Foundation's Greek secret video, which highlights the important meaning of the Greek people's Philotimo, has been seen by global leaders and over 1 million others around the world.
Our Philotimo, it means duty, loyalty, integrity.
Their bravery in October of 1940 changed the trajectory of the war.
Hitler's field marshal and chief of staff said, the Greeks delayed by 2 or more vital months the German attack against Russia. If we did not have this long delay, the outcome of the war would have been different.
The strength of Greece that made that victory possible, the pride that people took, the respect that they had for their country, the freedom that they loved so much to protect.
The Greek Church has protected its truths in so many places, and for this I'm grateful.
How many of us could say that were we in the shoes of Metropolitan Christostomos on Zakynthos Island in 1943, that I would have had remotely the courage that he and the mayor showed.
In honor of Princess Alice of Greece and His Royal Highness and the royal family, they thank us for that award. Thank you.
His life challenges us. We can't let his death be in vain.
Let us all learn from the Greek people from the 1940s. When faced with powerful evil, let us take the first step to overcome fear and resolutely dare to say no.
Oxi, no. Today, Oxi is a powerful word.
We say no to its cruelty, to its corruption, to its constant lying.
The Greek people said Oxi for the Nazis. Today we say Oxi for Daesh.
Democracy and justice thrives on today because of the important role Greeks play standing up against injustice during World War II.
Oxi to the North Korea regime. Oxi to Kim Jong-un.
James Foley said no to the forces of destruction, division, and domination.
Oxi to racism and discrimination.
No to aggression and repression.
Oxi to injustice. Oxi to violence.
Oxi barbarism. Oxi enslavement. Oxi ISIS.
Oxi means no.
Oxi.
Oxi.
Oxi. Oxi. No.
Welcome to the 11th Annual Oxi Courage Awards. We look forward to another powerful and inspirational evening as we celebrate and honor Oxi courage, the courage to say no or Oxi in the face of great evil. We missed seeing all of you in person last year as we celebrated the 80th anniversary of Oxi Day and the 10th anniversary of our foundation. But we had an online Courage Awards program. And because of the constraints of the pandemic, we were able to share this unique and powerful event with a new audience online. So tonight, we continue this new tradition of sharing one of the most moving and inspirational events in Washington each year, with thousands watching us live around the world. So let's go to one of those watch parties now. In New York City, we have the president of Atlantic Bank, Nancy Papaioannou, at the Greek consulate in New York. Hello, Nancy. And Consul General Koutras, thank you for joining us tonight, and many others out there watching us live online. We would now like to thank those who make the work of our foundation possible, our generous sponsors. Their support allows us to honor those who courageously defended the freedom and democracy in times of war, and to celebrate modern heroes around the world who exhibit Oxi courage. Our generous sponsors include our platinum sponsor, the Vasilios S. and Aphrodite B. Hasiotis Family Foundation. Our gold sponsors, the John P. Calamos Foundation and Manitos and Manitos. Our silver sponsors, Nicholas J. and Anna K. Burris Foundation, Jim Chanos, Stephen and Arete Chirpelis Family, Daniela and Peter Carmanos. The Libra Group, George and Judy Marcus, the Metropolis Family Foundation, James Theodore Pettis Family Foundation, Michael and Robin Saros, a lot of very generous people. And a number of bronze sponsors, including those with us tonight, Leon and Robin Anders, Atlantic Bank of New York, Dennis and Karen Meal, the Mistras family, and Karina Gerontis and John Stratakis. Now, we would like to recognize some remarkable individuals who are with us tonight who were honored earlier today. Every year, prior to our Courage Awards, the Washington Oxi Day Foundation holds its Service Awards. Just hours ago, at an equally powerful and moving ceremony at the National World War II Memorial, we honored 3 individuals for their brave service to our country in World War II, in Korea, and the Vietnam War. Their remarkable stories of their service to our country and continued service to the Greek American community are in your programs. These veterans today join the ranks of previous remarkable Oxi Service Award honorees such as Bob Dole and John Glenn. As we recognize each of them, please join me in giving them a warm round of applause for their service. First, we have the recipient of the Calamos Service Award. Should have a slide to put up. There he is. Vietnam War veteran Peter Vergados, joined by fellow Vietnam veteran and chairman of the National Hellenic Museum, John Calamos. Next, we have the recipient of the Oxi Service Award, Korean veteran Stephen Chirpelis, joined by the Defense Attaché of the Hellenic Republic, Colonel Panayotis Vlachopoulos. And finally, the recipient of the Vasilios S. Hasiotis Service Award, World War II veteran, 92-year-old Tim Bentis, could not be with us tonight. So representing him is our keynote speaker from the Service Awards earlier today, the highest-ranking Greek American in the U.S. Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Andrew Poppas. Thank you all again for joining us this evening as we celebrate Oxi courage past and present. We hope you enjoy the show.
Do you guys ever hear about what our people did, led by the Greek Orthodox Christian Church during the Holocaust?
Well, yeah, I heard that our Archbishop of Greece, Damaskinos, was the only national religious leader to publicly speak out against the Holocaust in a Nazi-occupied country.
Yeah, that's true. Have you guys ever heard what the Metropolitan Christosimos of Zakynthos did during the Holocaust? Yeah, when the Nazis asked for a list of all the Greek Jews, instead of following the Nazis' instructions, they gave them a letter with only 2 names on it, the Metropolitans and the mayors. Yeah, my yaya told me that 1 out of 10 Greeks died resisting the Nazis. Some of them for just hiding Jewish families.
Actually, that brings up a very interesting question. What would I do if I was faced with a horrible decision like that? It's got to be hard to make. I wonder if my faith in Philotimo would win out.
Well, I think that his Orthodox Christian faith and his Philotimo caused our Archbishop of America, Iakovos, to be the highest-ranking religious leader to risk his life by joining the call of Dr. Martin Luther King in Selma, Alabama. Well, I mean, I guess that I might face some of the choice that our Archbishop had to make, but I don't think that I'm going to face the horrors that they faced during the Holocaust.
Fortunately, I wouldn't be so sure. Watch this.
Wow. I had no idea that such anti-Semitism exists today.
And you'll remember seeing on TV, ISIS beheaded 21 Coptic Orthodox Christians simply for not denouncing their faith.
I mean, what would I do in this split second? I mean, would I risk mine and my family's lives to help save another person's family from being hunted down? I hope my faith in Philotimo would win out, but probably fear for my family's life.
Well, if you think about it, picture the smiling faces of the Greek Jews of Zakynthos who did not experience the Holocaust versus those who were sent to the concentration camps.
It's not simple, and it's not an easy question. I mean, how many people would put their life and their family's lives in jeopardy for strangers? I mean, what would I do? I really don't know, and I probably won't know until I'm faced with such a horrible decision. I hope I know how I would react. And you should too.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Washington Ohide Foundation President and Founder, Andrew Manitos.
Tonight's recipient of the Metropolitan Christosimos Award, Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew, the spiritual head of the second largest Christian church in the world, was looking forward very much to this award. He graciously set aside time amid his meetings with President Biden, Secretary Blinken, Speaker Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Schumer. Unfortunately, at the time he had reserved for this award, his health required temporary hospitalization for observation. He's fine now. He, therefore, however, asked his next in line, Metropolitan Emmanuel, to read his thoughts and his words. But before introducing a great Hellene, Mike Psaros, who will present the award, let me mention some of the things you might find of interest, some of the stories unearthed through the presentation of this award over the years. We learned, for example, that the only Auschwitz concentration camp revolt was engineered by Greek Jews to whom we gave this award posthumously. As they were being killed after their effort, they sang the Greek national anthem. Another posthumous award was accepted at Buckingham Palace by Prince Philip for his diminutive nun and mother, Princess Alice, who had the courage to hide the Cohen family at her home in Nazi-occupied Athens across the street from Nazi headquarters. We learned from award recipient Israel President Shimon Peres that his father would have been killed by the Nazis had Greek monks not hid him away for 2 years. Peres grew up singing Greek songs that his father learned at that monastery. Another award recipient was Holocaust survivor, Nobel laureate Elie Wiesel. And he said, that the newly arrived at his concentration camp were ordered to burn the bodies, those recently killed. When they resisted, the Nazis said, "Do it or we will kill you now." Wiesel said with great admiration that only one group, the Greek Jews, answered, "Then kill us now." Now we'll present Mike Psaros, who will present the Metropolitan Christosomos Award.
With enormous pride and deepest respect, I have the distinct honor to present the Metropolitan Chrysostomos Award to His All Holiness, Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew, the longest-serving Archbishop of Constantinople, New Rome, and Ecumenical Patriarch in history, especially as he celebrates the 30th anniversary of his momentous enthronement. He is the leader of 300 million Orthodox Christians worldwide. His All Holiness Bartholomew is the greatest ecumenical patriarch in modern history. President Joe Biden said of His All Holiness, I quote, "Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew is one of the two most Christ-like people I have ever met," end quote. There is no hierarch in global orthodoxy who has done more for promoting mutual respect and understanding amongst the world's religious traditions than His All Holiness. His All Holiness has led leaders from Christianity, Judaism, and Islam to condemn the abuse of religion to justify acts of violence. Following the September 11th slaughter of 3,000 people from 78 countries, our frightened world waited in terror for the next blow. But Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew stepped forward. He organized an interfaith conference in Brussels, Belgium. All faiths were present at that conference, including Islam, confirmed in a declaration His All Holiness's belief that, quote, "war in the name of religion is a war against religion," end quote. And quote, "it is the will of God for peace to prevail in the world." This was the first time that Muslim leaders expressed that sentiment. Much like Metropolitan Chrysostomos, who in World War II responded to the Nazis' demand for a list of Jews on his island by submitting just his own name and thus knowingly signing his own death sentence, the Ecumenical Patriarch has done what is right for humanity, regardless of the danger to his own person. Some years ago, a bomb in the Ecumenical Patriarchate may have cost him his life had it not been defused. Today, he is often forced to travel in a bulletproof car and wear a bulletproof vest when he travels. But he stands by his convictions and very public patriarchal exhortation for nonviolence and world peace. In many ways, His All Holiness is a modern-day Metropolitan Chrysostomos and is more than worthy of this award. I am humbled and honored to present the Metropolitan Chrysostomos Award to His All Holiness Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew. Accepting in his stead is His Eminence Metropolitan Emmanuel of Chalcedon.
Distinguished guests and honorees, beloved brothers and sisters in the Lord, expressing the gratitude and deep appreciation of His All Holiness, the Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew, I humbly receive on his behalf this prestigious award, named for that hero of orthodoxy and defender of freedom, the great-souled and ever-memorable Metropolitan Chrysostomos of Zakynthos. We consider this laudation a recognition of the significant contribution of the first throne of orthodoxy, the Ecumenical Patriarchate, in building bridges with the global Jewish community. His All Holiness, through the 30 years of his illustrious patriarchy, has assiduously pursued an ecclesiastical polity that is inclusive of interfaith dialogue, and the Patriarchate's chief interlocutors have been our friends of the Abrahamic religions, which originate in Judaism. And in the international and local dialogues with our Jewish brothers and sisters, we have found not only common ground, but common direction and intention. Your investiture of this award upon His Holiness is a reminder of the immovable and impenetrable convictions of Metropolitan Chrysostomos, who acted in the midst of the worst and most murderous days of the modern era. We must take from his courage and determination the inspiration and commitment to never allow such inhumanity to take shape again in our world. It is not enough to admire him in retrospect. It is not enough to respond only when the days are evil, as St. Paul says. Now is the time. Nin o kairos, when we can make of our world a place where such cruelty is never allowed space to take hold in any form. And as this is true of anti-Semitism, it must also be true of all ideologies that construct mishapen hatreds of any human person and community, or even religion and culture. The revered Metropolitan is an example for the ages. It was precisely his identifying with the Jewish population of Zakynthos that he gave to posterity the key to understanding how to encounter the otherness of others, and indeed how to protect them when they are most vulnerable. Here is the teaching of our Lord Jesus Christ, as embodied by the Mother Church of Constantinople. We retain our identity best when we see other as ourselves and ourselves in others. We are one human family, and all of us, the children of God, when we see each other, irrespective of faith or filter, as true brethren, then we can only help and never harm another. Dear friends who are sharing in this Ohi Foundation annual event, Metropolitan Chrysostomos said yes to human dignity and solidarity by saying no to cruelty and indifference. He gave his answer, and it resounds through history to this very day. Conveying the sentiments of His All Holiness, we are well pleased to receive this award, not only on his behalf, but also on behalf of all people of goodwill who take the same stand and share their humanity with every single person. Only through such brave and inspiring action can we make of our world more on earth as it is in heaven. We bestow the abundant paternal benediction of Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew on you and your noble work, and convey the blessing of the Constantinopolitan Church for your spiritual prosperity and noble endeavor. May the Lord grant you every good and gracious benefit.
America and Greece have come together for several noble purposes, like democracy, in the ancient and modern worlds. Tonight, in Washington, D.C., we celebrate such a coming together at the Annual Oxi Courage Awards. For the 11th year, we honor remarkable people from around the world who possess a rare courage, reminiscent of the courage displayed by the Greek people during World War II. As President Franklin Roosevelt said, the Greeks dared to question the invincibility of that German monster. And this year is quite special as we celebrate Greece's bicentennial, the 1776 inspired and American-supported revolution of 1821. It returned democracy and independence to Greece. Then U.S. President James Monroe told a joint session of Congress, "Greece fills the mind with the most exalted sentiments and sympathies in their favor throughout the United States." He was referencing the support for Greece by John Quincy Adams and the thousands across America who raised funds to aid Greece fighting for their independence. As a result of this bond between our countries, the founder of the modern Greek state described their new constitution by saying to America, "In imitating you, we shall imitate our ancestors and be thought worthy of them if we succeed in resembling you." We see our Courage Awards today as part of that enduring bond and a celebration of the 200th anniversary of Greek independence. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, for a special greeting, from Greece on Oxi Day, the Prime Minister of the Hellenic Republic, Kyriakos Mitsotakis.
Please welcome, for a greeting from the government of Greece, the Ambassador of Greece to the United States, Alexandra Papadopoulou.
Good evening. Today, we commemorate one of Greece's most courageous moments in its modern history, when the Greek people, showing extraordinary courage, opted to stand up to fascism and totalitarianism in a struggle between unequals, and in which the underdog finally prevailed. Tonight's event, as so much in life, is about courage. Plato explains the courage as the ability to persevere through emotions such as fear, suffering, pain, and danger. What helps people go through these fears and persevere? It's their belief in something much bigger than themselves. You have the courage to stand up to injustices, fascism, pain, persecution, only if you believe, when you believe, in something much bigger than what you are, when you have fear in God, love of country, love of family, love of your fellow human beings. Greeks, back in 1940, when they said no to fascism and totalitarianism, they also said yes. They said yes to a better life. They said yes to the lights that was coming at the end of the tunnel, because they believed in themselves. All of us in Greece have stories of courage and stories of suffering from those dark days. Personally, my father, who was a young cadet at the Greek military school, was taken at 20 years old to fight in the Battle of Crete. And he was taken prisoner of war, and he spent the following years in conditions that nobody wants to think about. Nevertheless, after he became a free man again, and when Greece started standing on its own feet, he never spoke about those days. He never said a bad word about those who captured and tortured him. Every time we were asking him, he was shrugging his shoulders and say, "That's the war." And his only wish, the one he fought for the rest of his life, was that his children live in a better world, in a world where there is no darkness and there is no fear. And this is what Greece stands for today. And we managed to get 2,000 years of hardship behind us to live in a European Union which stands for reconciliation, for understanding, for love of each other, and for tolerance. Today's recipients, award recipients, have shown that they know how to fight for what they believe in. I don't have words to speak about the ecumenical patriarch, one of the most preeminent leaders of our world, and whom we had the honor to have with us these past days in Washington. And of course, Mr. Alcantara, who is a very well-known fighter for human rights and dignity in his own country. But you will allow me to have some special words for the lady among us, Mrs. Ghafari, not only because Afghanistan and Greece share a long history of close traditions dating back to Alexander the Great, but also as a woman, I feel very strongly about women's rights around the world, and I want to assure her that the human rights in her country and the women's rights in her country are close to the heart of all women around us, Greek women above everything else. The Prime Minister of Greece, whose family has also suffered during the war, and his father was the leader of resistance in the native island of Crete and was sentenced to death, and he managed to escape the last moment, also tries to give this message to the younger people today, that let's forget about what divides us, let's stand for what unites us, but we should never forget. We should forgive and we should not forget, because the forces of darkness are around us. They will always be around us, and it's up to us to fight them off. His message was supposed to be videotaped. Unfortunately, logistical reasons didn't allow that to happen, so I will read it to you. To the Washington Oxi Day Foundation. It is now 81 years since the Greek people wrote one of the most illustrious chapters in their modern history. The passage of time does not, however, diminish the importance of Oxi Day. Greeks around the globe rightly celebrate the anniversary of the No, Oxi, because it symbolizes the importance of the fight for freedom fought yesterday to preserve the freedoms we enjoy today. On October 28, 1940, we stood up to the forces of darkness, sweeping across Europe, and offered the free world their first sign of hope, and a belief that liberty and dignity would prevail. Perhaps the fascists should have known better than to take us on. After all, we Greeks have a durable legacy of resistance and resilience that spans thousands of years. Storied in battle, from Marathon to Thermopylae, from Thermopylae to Salamis, victory or defeat, Greeks have fought ferociously to preserve the values and freedoms they hold so dear. Greece, the birthplace of democracy, has often been at the forefront of both European and global evolution and struggle. This year we celebrate the 200th anniversary of the Greek War of Independence, a war won against all odds, a war that inspired others to break free from the shackles of empire, a war that made Greece the first nation-state in Europe. In choosing to send a resounding Oxi to Mussolini in the winter of 1940-41, Greece deliberately put itself in the vanguard of resistance to the Axis powers and to stood firm against fascism and totalitarianism. In doing so, we became the first country to take the fight back to the enemy on European soil. As FDR has said at the time, Greece has set the example that every one of us must follow until the despoilers of freedom everywhere have been brought to their just doom. Our country, on the same side as the United States in all modern conflicts, continues to honor that legacy of resistance and will always stand by others when faced with totalitarianism and oppression. This year marks the 11th anniversary of the Oxi Courage and Service Awards. I would like to congratulate the Oxi Day Foundation for honoring the resilience and achievement of the Greek people in the Second World War by recognizing the efforts of those modern-day heroes who continue to fight for freedom, equality, and human rights. I would also like to congratulate tonight's honorees who embody the spirit of Ohi Day, placing themselves as they do in the front line of some of the biggest challenges of our age. Firstly, I would like to extend my warm congratulations and utmost respect to His All Holiness Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew, the spiritual leader of more than 300 million Orthodox Christians worldwide, and a leading voice in the struggle to save our planet and to secure religious freedom and human rights. May I also take this opportunity to congratulate Luis Manuel Otero Alcantara of Cuba, named by Time magazine among the 100 most influential people of 2021. And finally, I would like to congratulate Afghanistan's first female and youngest ever mayor, Zarifa Ghafari, a leading voice for the rights of women, not only in her own country, but around the world. I'm proud to say that Greece has recently welcomed a number of female judges and female members of parliament from Afghanistan, offering them assistance in fighting refugees, whether here in Greece or in other nations. The sacrifices they have made remind us that we all have a duty to stand up for freedom and stand together against oppression. Thank you and enjoy your evening together. Kyriakos Mitsotakis, Prime Minister. Thank you.
Philotimo could be translated as love of honor or respect for honor.
All Greeks know it, even if they've never heard the word before, until now.
Compassion and generosity.
To rise above pettiness and trivialities.
Humility and pride. Love of family, love of country.
To giving others without asking for anything in return, but love and affection.
Whenever you mention the word Philotimo to a Greek, you're always going to see a softening of the eye.
The desire to be remembered motivated some of the most heroic acts in ancient Greek history.
There were 300 Spartans against all the Persians.
They knew that they're going to pay a very heavy price, the heaviest price that you can ever pay, but they still did what they thought was the right thing to do.
And it is really a remarkable treasure that has permeated every aspect of Western civilization.
Every time that you deviate from honorable and decent and dignified way of behaving and living, people will ask you, don't you have Philotimo?
Don't you have the Philotimo to assist the people who are in need? Don't you have any Philotimo?
When you go outside of your home, you're not just going by yourself. You're taking the name of your father and your mother with you.
You feel as though you are accountable much far beyond yourself, to your family, to your community, and to your history, your legacy.
I would actually call it a sort of a binding undercurrent of what unites Greeks around the world together.
I went all over the country in 1987 asking Greeks to support me for mayor of San Francisco. There was only one reason they did it. It was out of Philotimo.
Greeks around the world, both here and elsewhere, are accomplishing amazing things. With Philotimo playing in the background, I think there's a strong sense amongst the Greeks that we're pretty special people.
In 1943, the German military commander ordered Metropolitan Chrysostomos and the mayor of Zakynthos to prepare a list of the Jewish community on the island.
Because they were the ones who knew the community better than anybody else. Tell us who all your Jews are. And they says, we'll give you the list.
They returned to the Nazi leader with an envelope with a list of names, 2 names, their own.
These 2 leaders embodied everything that that word tries to encapsulate.
It really ultimately means what it is to live a good life.
They can better tap into this Philotimo that their ancestors have used throughout time. They too can accomplish great things.
The Washington Ohi Day Foundation takes great pride in recognizing and celebrating each year courage, duty, honor, and love of country or said in one word, Philotimo, to help the next generation of Greek American students better understand and appreciate this guiding light. The Washington Ohi Day Foundation once again offered $10,000 in college scholarships to students grades 6 to 12 who could best define the concept of Philotimo. Each student was asked to watch our foundation's Greek secret video on the subject of Philotimo, the trailer for which you just saw, and answer an essay what Philotimo means to them. This video has now been viewed by over 1 million people around the world. We were thrilled to receive again competitive submissions from dozens of students all across the country. The winner of the 2021 Philotimo Scholarship Competition and a $4,000 scholarship was Anastasia Stratakis, a high school senior in Manhasset, New York. Congratulations to Anastasia and the other winners, 4 of the 5 of whom are young women. And thank you to all of those students and their families who shared their thoughts on the importance of Philotimo in the world today. Now, please welcome to read passages from her winning essay on Philotimo, Anastasia Stratakis.
To me, Philotimo is a moral obligation, a force within me that tugs me to act a certain way, to live my life with honor, ethics, and grace. And as my parents and grandparents before me, to make virtuous decisions and act with goodness. Philotimo is the thread that connects me to my ancestors, who had kept their values of Philotimo regardless of the challenges they faced. And I owe it to future generations to be good, to be decent, to make the sacrifices that most people don't want to make, because those before me did, and it is my responsibility to uphold the value of Philotimo. Philotimo remains alive today, in our community and beyond, and although the world may feel divided and uneasy, deep in our hearts, we are all capable of having Philotimo. It is up to us to follow that moral compass. Thank you.
Please welcome Ohi Day Foundation Advisory Board Member, Nicholas Logothetis.
Good evening, everyone. As you just heard, my name is Nick Logothetis, and I'm honored to be here for what has become one of my favorite events of the year. Tonight, I want to talk about some special people. Presidents Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, Shimon Peres, Bono, Amal Clooney, Prince Philip, Bob Dole, Speaker Pelosi, John Glenn, Nobel laureates Elie Wiesel, Nadia Murad, and Maria Ressa. What do all these names have in common? They've all appeared as honorees or speakers in our Oxi Courage and Service Awards over our first 10 years. Not one of them is Greek, but all of them are messengers of our Greek Oxi Courage, past and present. Many of you here tonight have been with us in previous years as we've shown a bright spotlight on today's David's versus Goliath for freedom and democracy. I was very personally honored in 2016 to present the Oxi Courage Award to Nadia Murad, as then Vice President Joe Biden and his son Beau posthumously received the second Courage Award of the night. It was truly an evening that I and everyone there will never forget. As we prepare to honor tonight's 2 Oxi Courage Award recipients, we thought it was important to share with you some memories of previous year's honorees, as well as their remarkable accomplishments after they left this stage. Thank you.
Oxi Courage Award links brave freedom fighters in the world today to the examples set by the Greeks when they answered the Nazi demand for surrender with a defiant and courageous no. By creating the Ohi Courage Award, they have found a way to give voice to the voiceless and hope to people fighting for freedom in some of the darkest corners of the world. There is no corner of the world today darker than North Korea. The fact that there is someone like Ji Sung-ho with so much courage, persistence, fearlessness, and hope conveys a powerful message that the North Korean regime, with all of its nuclear weapons and its brazen threats, will not survive the resistance of its own people.
We are joined by one more witness to the ominous nature of this regime. His name is Mr. Ji Sung-ho. Today he lives in Seoul, where he rescues other defectors and broadcasts into North Korea what the regime fears most, the truth. Your great sacrifice is an inspiration to us all. Please, thank you.
Today, we honor James Foley with the 2014 Ohi Day Award for his courage and his values in defense of peace, liberty, and freedom. As a frontline journalist, he took on the important job of shining a light on some of the darkest parts of the world. He was a voice for so many who had been silenced, and he fought always to bring us the truth. He represented hope in a time and place of so much despair.
I think courage is hard to define. I think we all want to be courageous, and we think we might be, but you don't know until you are tested. His life challenges us. We can't let his death be in vain.
His life is a model of what a 21st century citizens ought to be. And now it's our turn to model his story, to share it with others.
You know, the thing is there's physical courage, right? For some reason, I have physical courage. But really, think about it. That's nothing compared to moral courage. I can go and get those shots. But if I don't have the moral courage to challenge authority, we don't have journalism.
We raise our children to admire that kind of bravery and that kind of courage. We raise them to be the Davids who battle our modern-day Goliaths. We teach them to try to be like Nadia, having every reason to withdraw from the world. You summon the courage to stand up and say, no, no. On behalf of all the women in my life and all the women in this country who endured hardship, thank you for giving them courage.
عندما قلت لداعش لا.
When I told ISIS no.
هددوني ومن يعلم ربما أدفع ثمن ذلك.
They threatened me, and who knows, maybe I will pay the price of that.
ولكن بالرفض لهم وجدت نفسي إنسانة تمتلك الإنسانية.
But by refusing them, I found humanity in myself.
Maria Ressa. When you see her, you'll see that she's a Filipino journalist who stands at 5'2", but she stands taller than so many of us in her courage and personal sacrifice to the cause of telling the truth.
She is fearlessly taking on a regime that is leveraging every angle to taunt, tear apart, and terrify her. She is a light in the darkest moments. She has a nearly incomprehensible fearlessness in the face of almost constant death threats.
What gives you the courage to keep taking him on?
We shouldn't allow hrassment, intimidation, and the fear of that stop you from doing your job. You must fight for your rights while you still can.
She has the courage to take on corruption and the determination to expose the truth. To me, Maria Ressa is quite simply a superhero.
Tell me what you see here. What's in my future?
It says you will fall for a great warrior who fights for Greece.
Clear the way! I said clear the way! Stand down! Now! Are we really so different, you and me?
This open display will be taken as weakness by your peers.
Stay away from this Turk.
No good will come of this.
I will avenge the deaths of my people and see your captain slain for it.
By calling me a rebel, he has made me one.
Find her and kill her.
How can you put your trust in a Turk? I've betrayed my family by trusting a man I must not trust.
If I help her, I risk my life. If I don't, I risk hers.
This will be a long, satisfying day.
God sees fit to bring more of my family closer to him.
If you are caught with an enemy of the Empire, there may be no redemption for you.
I will not be the reason you turn your back on your destiny.
You are my destiny. If we die, then we do so fighting. Together.
Please welcome to present our first Ohi Courage Award, Dean Metropolis.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody. Michael asked me to make a few comments. We've said so many wonderful things about Ohi Day. I thought I would probably talk about what the Greek journey has meant in my life and talk about this wonderful movie that we just saw a clip of. But I'm an immigrant. I came to America when I was 10 years old. My wife's Greek-American, born here. I came from parents who worked so hard and imparted on me love and affection and confidence and a work ethic and allowed me to get educated. I've lived all over the world and traveled in over 100 countries, and I feel very fortunate. But there was a bond with a family that so many young people don't have. Philanthropy, the environment, and business are passions for me. But this philanthropy issue, so many young people do not even have the shot at the journey that I've enjoyed, and I think we all need to participate in somehow making a difference in the lives of so many, many underprivileged people. But as I've traveled the journey of my life, there was one common theme that I've so often reflected on, and that is being a Greek. And I've thought about from the Minoan civilization 4,000 plus years ago to the Iliad and the Trojans and the golden age of Greece that seeded the world as we know it today with technology, mathematics, medicine, the Hippocratic Oath, Olympics and sports, Archimedes and astronomy. I read something a few years ago that they cannot understand how Archimedes could have been so accurate in measuring the distance to certain planets like the moon, even the Mars. And it's incredible that what our heritage has seeded in today's world. The journey moved on from there to the Byzantine Empire, Constantinople, which were Greek-speaking people, the fall of Constantinople in 1453, and the Ottoman occupation of Greece, which almost obliterated, extinguished our Greek culture and our Greek population. That is probably the most powerful, almost extinguishment of the Greek culture as we know it today. And my wife passionately produced this movie to highlight that period in our journey as Greeks. And I very much feel Greek-American myself. But I'll tell you, there was a poignant point in her movie that said, they've taken our numbers from 20 million to 1 million. I had not realized at the time, and she had a PhD historian on the set for original costumes and all the statements, that really there were 20 million Greeks between Constantinople, Greece, and diaspora in that area. And it was down to 1 million. And there's a comment made just before the revolution, and it says, if we don't go to free ourselves now, they reduced our numbers from 20 to 1. We will never have another chance. Liberty or death united them to finish, either die or liberate themselves, which they did. Of course, World War II and the Ohi Day. World War II, the biggest war ever. 75 million people died during World War II. 20 million of those were soldiers. And for Greece, the small nation, to challenge Hitler, who considered them the most courageous opponents that he met, is a remarkable part of our Greek journey. I look at that, even the Korea, 2 regiments won tremendous awards. We celebrated today some of our Vietnamese heroes. And even today, wonderful Americans around the world. I'm always amazed to see Greeks in Africa, Asia, Latin America, many, Australia, New Zealand, all over Europe. And they have always stayed together as Greeks. They've had that work, success ethic. And I'm always very proud. That's guided my journey. It guides my sons who have worked with me for many, many years as they were young 14, 15-year-olds all over Europe and the U.S. And it's a wonderful one. I'm so proud to be a Greek, so proud to share this heritage, so proud to hear about Ohi and to hear about just constantly in my heart, I feel that journey of the Greek culture and who we are as Greeks. I know, Michael, I'm taking more time than you probably intended, but I'm going to stop there so to make sure the next recipient has his wonderful award. Thank you very much.
It was on this day in 1940 that Greek Prime Minister Ioannis Metaxas said "Ohi," or no, to Italian fascist dictator Benito Mussolini as he demanded Greece's surrender. This heroic act of resistance changed the course of history as Greece entered World War II and joined the Allied powers in the epic struggle against fascism and Nazism. By saying no to fascism, Metaxas also said yes to freedom and yes to democracy, an ideal born in Greece thousands of years ago that Greeks throughout history have stood ready to defend. The moment that Metaxas rejected tyranny with his one-word rebuke inspired millions. Every year on Ohi Day, we pay tribute to Greece's heroic defense of Hellenic ideals by recognizing men and women around the world who today aspire to live in freedom and build a democracy of their own. This year's honoree holds special significance to me. As a son of Cuban refugees who came to the United States in search of freedom, I am truly moved to see this year's Ohi Foundation Award go to the courageous Cuban activist and artist Luis Manuel Otero Alcantara. For years, Luis Manuel has led an unwavering campaign of defiance against Cuba's dictatorship. Along with his fellow artists in the San Isidro movement, he has stood up for freedom of expression, democratic values, and the end to the repression that the Cuban people have endured for 7 decades. We saw the impact of San Isidro movement artists like Luis Manuel this summer in Cuba. On July 11th, Cubans from across their country took to the streets chanting "Abajo la dictadura," or "Down with the dictatorship," and singing the pro-democracy anthem "Patria y Vida," or Homeland and Life. The Cuban regime responded to these unprecedented protests with its trademark brutality, beating protesters, arresting activists and everyday citizens, and suspending internet services across the island in an effort to silence its people. But the regime could not stop the truth from going viral. Across social media, the world saw the injustice that Cubans live with each and every day. Tonight, Luis Manuel, unfortunately, cannot join us to accept this award. Tonight, he sits in a Cuban jail, a political prisoner of dictator named Miguel Díaz-Canel and a cowardly regime that fears its own citizens. Yet tonight, the courage, unbendable spirit, and leadership of Luis Manuel continues to inspire, for we know that he will never surrender, just like the Greeks before him. Last month, internationally renowned artist and activist Ai Weiwei paid tribute to Luis Manuel, stating that his art, his unignorable fight for freedom of expression, and his uncompromising stance against autocracy reveal the power of resistance. Today, as we honor this power of resistance, we do so knowing that the Hellenic call to freedom has echoed in humanity's heart across countless generations. It most certainly echoes in all of our hearts as we honor Luis Manuel Otero Alcantara on this anniversary of Ohi Day.
On July 10, 2018, a controversial new ruling was first published in Gaceta de Cuba known as Decree 349. Decree 349 requires artists to obtain government approval before performing or displaying their work and explicitly prohibits content which contravenes current legislation. The ruling drew wide criticism and prompted a group of artists from the predominantly black neighborhood of San Isidro to organize the Movimiento San Isidro, or MSI, to protest the state-sponsored censorship the new law imposed. Luis Manuel Otero Alcantara, also known as Luisma, a founder of MSI and self-proclaimed artivist, has continued to exhibit his performance art pieces which criticize the regime in direct defiance of Decree 349. Luisma's performances, as well as the MSI protests he's organized, have been held at highly publicized events, locations, and via social media campaigns in order to draw maximum attention and support for the cause and to shine a light on the oppression imposed by the government. This has also resulted in him becoming a target of harassment, brutality, and incarceration by authorities, with over 20 arrests since 2018, many without cause. In November 2020, rapper and MSI member Denny Solis was arrested and sentenced to 8 months in prison for live streaming himself insulting a police officer who had entered his house without a warrant. In response, Luisma and MSI organized protests outside a police station and went on to lock themselves inside MSI headquarters to stage a hunger strike demanding his release. The demonstration was successful in drawing attention of both the international media and human rights groups, but was interrupted 8 days into the event when Cuban forces raided the building and arrested 14 activists, including Luisma. This is just one example of the relentless courage displayed by Luisma and other MSI members as they face a regime determined to silence them. Their efforts have brought their cause onto the world stage and continues to build momentum and support toward their vision of a free and democratic Cuba. On July 11, 2021, thousands of citizens took to the streets across Cuba in what was the largest protest since Fidel Castro's 1959 revolution. The protest resulted in over 1,000 arrests, including Luisma. Luisma is currently incarcerated in a maximum security prison where he has been held since the July protest and continues to dissent with hunger strikes. While we were not able to reach him directly, thanks to our friends at NDI, we were able to reach those who know him well for comment.
Saludos a todos. Mi nombre es Claudia Ángel Hidalgo, soy curadora y activista miembro del Movimiento San Isidro, además pareja del artista Luis Manuel Otero Alcántara. Agradezco en su nombre y en el de todos los que pertenecemos al Movimiento San Isidro, así como en nombre de las voces que buscan libertad en Cuba por el otorgamiento de este premio. Este es un reconocimiento a una lucha incansable que pensábamos olvidada y que de alguna manera Luis nos ha mostrado cuán viva está. El pueblo cubano hoy rechaza en un 70% la dictadura dirigida por Díaz-Canel. A lo largo de estos 62 años, el hambre, la exclusión y la represión han sido constantes y brutales. Los artistas hemos sufrido toda clase de violaciones. Sin embargo, no dejamos de alzar nuestra voz por lograr una Cuba en la que podamos elegir libremente el gobierno que queremos. Luis Manuel está preso injustamente desde el 11 de julio. Con serias restricciones en la comunicación con sus visitas y sus abogados, enfrentando además un estado de salud delicado después de contagiarse de COVID. Sin embargo, todos podemos sentir la fuerza de su espíritu que nos impulsa a continuar luchando por su libertad y la de todos los presos políticos. Luis Manuel Si pudiera estar aquí, les haría sentir el inmenso amor que lo motiva a arriesgar su vida por una Cuba diferente. Y como diría él, para despedirme y para despedirnos, estamos conectados. Inmensas gracias.
Agradecemos en el nombre de Luis Manuel Otero Alcántara, del movimiento San Isidro y de las voces de los activistas en Cuba que buscan la libertad. Este es un gran reconocimiento a una tradición de lucha enfocada en los derechos humanos, las libertades y la democracia. Luis Manuel Otero Alcántara es un artista afrodescendiente, preso injustamente, es perteneciente a una parte de la población más discriminada por su condición racial. De hecho, 3 de los artistas, miembros de San Isidro, son afro, están presos hoy. Podríamos estar hablando de la discriminación racial como política de Estado. Pedimos a los gobiernos democráticos del mundo que aún coquetean con la dictadura que hay en mi país, que reconozcan nuestros derechos como artistas y como ciudadanos para una expresión libre. Luis Manuel Otero Alcántara, a pesar de todos los desmanes que está sufriendo en una de las prisiones de máxima seguridad en Cuba, sigue auténticamente centrado como un héroe. Si él estuviera aquí, con su gran energía y conexión, nos estuviera diciendo a todos, estamos conectados. Muchas gracias por este gran reconocimiento. Muchas gracias.
Please welcome to receive the 2021 Oxi Courage Award, Anameli Ramos.
Buenas noches, un placer estar aquí y en nombre de Luis Manuel y el Movimiento San Isidro les agradezco. En mayo de 2020, mientras realizaba la segunda de 3 huelgas en un año, Luis Manuel Otero Alcántara me llamaba por larga distancia a México. La seguridad del Estado le había cortado el internet. Solo, sin comer ni beber nada, cercado por la policía y sin poder ver a nadie, Luis Manuel permaneció más de 7 días encerrado en su casa, hasta que se lo llevaron por la fuerza. No hacía esto por capricho, sino porque unos días antes su casa había sido allanada mientras hacía un performance y sus obras habían sido destrozadas. Para Luis, sus obras son como hijos. Ellas resumen lo mejor de su energía. Son la síntesis perfecta entre lo que quiere dar al mundo y lo que recibe de él.
Good evening. It is a pleasure to be here. On behalf of Luis, I want to thank you. On May 20th, during what would be the second of his 3rd hunger strike that year, Luis called me because his internet had been cut off by state security forces. And he would be there for 7 days without eating, without drinking anything, and surrounded by the police. He was not doing this on a whim. This happened because while he was doing a performance, the police raided his home days prior and destroyed much of his work of art. For him, his pieces of art encapsulate the perfect synthesis between what he wants to give the world and what the world gives to him. They are his children.
En esos días aislados, Luis repetía una y otra vez que él no quería ser un fantasma social, que estaba listo para morir y volver como lluvia o flor y seguir siendo útil al mundo de otras maneras. De esas llamadas entrecortadas que me hacía, escribí varios textos a manera de diario indirecto. Si él no podía hablarle al mundo, trataría de hacerlo por él. Uno de sus textos se llamaba «O pongo unas puertas humanas a los círculos concéntricos de la represión». quería resaltar la tensión entre estos dos espacios, el del cuerpo vulnerable pero valeroso de Luis, capaz de abrir en torno a sí un universo libre, y el mundo de afuera, lleno de policías y violaciones, en el terreno totalitario de un Estado que no solo ha reprimido violentamente a su pueblo, sino que ha asfixiado todas las instituciones e iniciativas sociales autónomas.
In those days of isolation, Luis said over and over again, "I do not want to become a social ghost. I am ready to die and come back as rain or as flowers and be useful to the world in another way." And so, because he was unable to communicate with the world, I decided that I would do so for him and kept an indirect diary. One of the texts I called "A Contrast Between the Doors to Humanity and the Concentric Circles of Repression." And I wanted to highlight the vulnerability that he has used his body and the opening that he made towards freedom and the outside world of violence and repression by the police, and how these institutions were asphyxiating art and initiatives.
Cuba es un país no solo precario en términos económicos y políticos, es un ambiente donde se hace difícil respirar. La estructura totalitaria obstaculiza los espacios independientes y alternativos y te muestra un camino desde que naces, defender la revolución. En medio de tanta rigidez, Luis Manuel se abrió paso con su talento, simpatía y mucha voluntad. Se hizo artista a pesar de no estudiar en ninguna escuela. Fue capaz de superar sus circunstancias desventajosas, negro, de barrio, de familia humilde, y convertirse en un referente en el arte cubano y en la historia de la libertad en Cuba. Y lo más importante, rompió muchos ciclos de violencia, personales y grupales, y solo con el poder que le daba la creación y la valentía mayor de todas, creer en el arte y en las personas para cambiar el destino. Sucede con él y con otros miembros del movimiento San Isidro, Michael Castillo, en huelga de hambre y sed, ahora mismo en un calabozo en Cuba, y Esteban Rodríguez, también preso injustamente. Luis siempre es y será ese niño que hacía esculturas de palos y tiras en sus manos, generando belleza donde otros solo veían pobreza e imposibilidad.
Cuba is a precarious country, not just in terms of politics, but also it is a totalitarian system that hinders creativity and teaches you that you only have one way to defend the revolution. In midst of so much rigidity, Luis Manuel made his way with his talent, his sympathy, and a lot of willpower. He became an artist, despite not studying in any school. He was able to overcome his disadvantageous circumstances, being black, from a poor neighborhood, from a family of limited means, and he has become a referent in Cuban art and in the history of freedom for Cuba. And what's more important, he has broken many circles of violence, both personal and as a group, because with only the power that gave him his creativity and the greatest courage of all, to believe in art and people, to change destiny. It happens to him and to the other members of the San Isidro movement, to Michael Castillo, who is currently on a hunger and thirst strike in a dungeon in Cuba, and Esteban Rodriguez, who has also been unjustly imprisoned. Luis is and always will be that child who made sculptures with sticks and scraps, using his hands to generate beauty where others only saw poverty and impossible circumstances.
Asimismo es con Cuba. Más allá de los 800 presos políticos, de los juicios sumarios sin defensa, donde pueden condenarte a 6 años por salir con un cartel a la calle, donde las personas hacen huelgas de hambre como último recurso para defender derechos, donde los activistas son cercados en sus propias casas por meses, donde las personas prefieren cruzar el mar o las fronteras con tal de huir. Más allá de todo eso, Luis vislumbra el futuro que construiremos juntos, una Cuba con todos y para el bien de todos.
The same goes for Cuba. Looking beyond the more than 800 political prisoners, beyond the summary trials without defense, where one can be sentenced to 6 years in prison for just taking a sign to the streets, where people go on hunger strikes as a last resort to defend their rights, where activists are imprisoned in their own homes for months, where people would rather cross oceans and seas and borders in order to flee. Beyond all of that, Luis glimpses the future we will build together, a Cuba for everyone that is doing good for all Cubans.
La puerta que mencionaba en el título de mi texto hace referencia a una de las últimas series de dibujos hechas por Luis, puertas de formas extrañas, pero de formas humanas. Siempre he creído que esas puertas de Luis nos señalan una salida a la desesperanza y al conformismo. Para tener de vuelta nuestro país es necesario primero imaginarlo y también imaginar por dónde saldríamos a la luz.
The doors that I have mentioned in my text referred to the last series of drawings made by Luis, of doors with strange and unconventional shapes, and also forms that remind us of human shapes. I have always believed that those doors, Luis's doors, show us our way out of hopelessness and conformity. To have our country back, we must first imagine what it could be and find the doors that will lead us there.
Como los griegos dijeron hoy a los nazis, Luis Manuel y el movimiento San Isidro dicen no a la falta de libertad, no a la desesperanza, no al inmovilismo social, no a la dictadura. Que nadie más tenga que soportar la patria con su propio cuerpo, que la patria sea, además de una razón para dar la vida, un lugar amable y digno que todos podamos habitar y construir.
And as the Greeks said ohi to the Nazis, Luis Manuel and the San Isidro movement say no to the lack of freedom, the hopelessness and the social paralysis. May no one else have to uphold the homeland with their body, and may the homeland be, besides a place to give your life, a kind and dignified place where we can all inhabit and build a better future.
Libertad y vida para Cuba, libertad para Luis Manuel Otero, para Maite del Castillo, para Esteban Rodríguez, libertad para todos los detenidos en el 11 de julio y todos los presos políticos cubanos, patria y vida. Gracias.
Liberty and life for Cuba, for Luis Manuel, for Michael Castillo, for Esteban Rodríguez, for those detained on July 11th and all political prisoners. Homeland and life. Thank you.
Please welcome to present our final award of the evening, Danielle Carmanos.
I believe each one of us is born with a spark, a fire in our belly that lights our path and guides our way. Each of you has a purpose, a call to serve, a beautiful and unique skill set that matters deeply to the world around you. For women, our spark is energized when we connect with other women. Together, we shine bigger, we shine brighter, we love, we laugh, we inspire, sometimes we even sparkle. We illuminate the world around us. Together, we fan the flames and we blaze a trail. But what if it wasn't safe to speak, or soar, or chase your dreams? Imagine a world of fear and chaos, and the women you love the most being tortured, persecuted, punished for simply following their dreams. Dreams to become teachers, scientists, artists, and change makers. For the women of Afghanistan, this is their reality, a seemingly hopeless fate. But in that darkness, there shines a light, a young, hopeful, determined beacon that is bright enough to shine in the face of darkness. That light is Zarifa Ghafari. She was born with a purpose to shine brightly, to be the voice and make history, blazing a path and taking a bold stand while the world around her was and is crumbling, and the Taliban demands women be silenced and shunned. She refused to step aside or stand down when at age 26, she became the youngest and only female mayor in Afghanistan. Now, I have to stop for a moment because this is America. We're free. We can be risk takers and thought provokers. We can question everything just because we feel like it. We're a land of record breakers and TikTokers and dream seekers. And in America, a young female politician is inspiring and exciting. She's popular and trend-setting and encouraged by friends and foes to be bold and outspoken. But this is America, and this was Afghanistan. This wasn't America, that was Afghanistan. And the war-torn country where bodies are hanging in the streets and bombs are being deployed without warning while women live in fear. A country where little girls don't dream big, they become child brides. So when Zarifa was appointed to serve her community in a public role, the world around her did everything to silence, scare, and sabotage her success. But she was steadfast and stood faithful to her calling, her purpose, her guiding light. She is smart and brave and shines with such extraordinary purpose that she illuminates a path and gives hope to women who thought darkness and fear were their only option. She has survived 6 assassination attempts while continuously and courageously staying the course, following her purpose. Led by her father, who knew his daughter, his little girl, was special. He knew she would change the world and used his voice as a girl dad to fearlessly advocate for her, until last year when he was silenced, murdered by the Taliban. When the Taliban took control of Kabul, Zarifa was destined for death, miraculously escaping in the footwell of a car and ultimately finding refuge in Germany with her husband, her mother, and 7 siblings. She has lived 1,000 lives of courage, and I believe she's only just begun. Her path isn't easy, but in the ranks of extraordinary freedom fighters, she is undeterred. 1 foot in front of the other, 1 inch, 1 life, 1 step at a time. She's a girl's girl, she's a freedom fighter, she's a visionary. She is the light that is destined to shine brightly, the beacon of hope to little girls who dare to dream, and women who pray for change. St. Francis said, "All the darkness in the world cannot extinguish the light of a single candle, and she, Zarifa, is the light." It is my honor to introduce this video of the Oxi Courage Award recipient, Zarifa Ghafari.
I remember I was a child during Taliban, and I was like 4 or 5 years old. I was going to this underground class when we were like hearing something on the top, or maybe a shadow, put your books and notebooks under the carpet so no one realized what's it.
What did you dream you would become when you were?
To be free of this limitations of life, you know. Every month I was facing these, you know, suicide bombs, roadside bombs, attacks, fights. Like it was normal there. 3 times I got badly injured. My childhood stopped when I became 4.
de parada se asara. Pois sim, ela de cor de parada não de sara de parada.
Soldiers of the Afghan army are fighting for their country's life, and they're losing. People fleeing the insurgents' advance, the Taliban's flag flying. Taliban fighters, meanwhile, boast of their success. We've taken the governor's house and the police headquarters, say these men. Hundreds of thousands of Afghans are now refugees in their own country, fleeing the fighting or the brutality of Taliban rule.
People are living in fear and dread. Women are already being killed and shot for breaching rules that have been imposed on what they can wear and on where they can move without a male escort.
Your job is an extremely dangerous job. It is necessary as a woman to be very brave to do what you do.
The only thing that makes me come over these challenges, that makes me powerful and keeps me brave, is just my confidence. It's just my commitment. That's why I'm still here. I'm doing my job, and I'm really proud of serving my country.
My name is Zarifa Ghafari. Actually, I'm not a hero. I'm just the mayor of Maidan Shahr. A mob came and chased me away. They thought that was the end of that. But I came back. I came back and I stood my ground.
I want to talk to them. I want to talk to Taliban. You know, they killed my dad. They tried to kill me. They destroyed everything I had, man. And for me, what I'm doing is just like for humanity. It's a long way to fight for freedom. It's no late to start. A big, big fight for anything that you think it's right.
Please welcome the 2021 Oxi Courage Award recipient, Zarifa Ghafari.
First of all, thank you so much and very good evening. Thank you so much for feeling me. Thank you so much for understanding what is the life for women in Afghanistan. Thank you so much for having me here, and thank you so much to recognizing my effort as an example of efforts of all women of Afghanistan. The award that I'm receiving today, and I received today, it's not only mine, and I share the pride, I share the love, I share everything of that with all women of my country. The women who I taught courage, who I learned courage from, who I really, whatever I am, I think it's because of them. The woman who made me the way strong that I am. The woman who taught me to be the Zarifa who I am right now, who is so able to stand and talk. While this Zarifa is so emotional and so weak deep in heart. because she have been broken too many times. Because the Zarifa have been seeing all 27 years of her life being destroyed, ruined, and how easily just kicked off the reality and of the ground of her life. But yeah, I'm still here, and I'm still standing, I'm talking, I'm laughing, and sometimes I'm stopping my tears so deep back in my heart and my eyes. Just because not showing people the pain that I have, because maybe for that I will be judged. I will be judged by the tears that I am having on my eyes, because I am a woman in some point. Just because of my gender, whoever is around me, I am definitely sure somehow there are those people who just love to judge me with. To judge me with my clothes, to judge me with my scarf, to judge me with my speech, to judge me with my broken English, which is not my native language, to judge me with my feelings, that whatever it is, it's all about my country. I am afraid of being judged. That's why I'm afraid of sharing my deep emotional feelings and thoughts. And that made me the one who I am, and that's why people think that I am more courageous. Being more than 3 times injured, just 3 times so badly that I remember during school, commuting to your school, but not giving up. Not giving up when your dad is asking you not to go to school anymore because you will get killed. But you're going hiding from your dad and mom to school. The way, if you're going to any country abroad to pursue your higher education, the way that your family members know about, your uncles, your aunts, your cousins, are going to judge you and using so unbelievable kind of words and thoughts about you, and kind of abandoning your family just because of letting you go abroad and study. Studying your 2 years of university in a way that all 24 hours of a day you have just a small piece of bread with a bottle of water, and you can't survive more than that, anything, and you don't have the courage to ask your dad to send you some money, but still not giving up, still carrying it out with all whatever it is. Then coming to society, fighting for your rights as a normal human being. I really hate this gender division by like men and women. I am first human. So fighting for your humanitarian rights, at the starting you need to fight with your dad's thoughts. You need to kind of make him trust you the way that you love yourself to be. Fight with your mom's thoughts. Fight with your then all family, and then your neighboring society, and then your living society, and then your country, and at the end, fighting a terrorist group which is ready and which are giving the rights of killing you every time to themselves. But still not giving up, still carrying it out. Carrying it out to the way that you are losing your dad, in a way that it's more than 15 days that you didn't meet him and you didn't hug him, and you're commuting home after 15 days and you're calling, you're messaging your mom that I'm coming home, I hope you're home. And few minutes back, you were receiving a call back from your sister that dad is dead. He's no more alive. And you're calling your mom that, Mom, is he alive? The only sentence. And reply back, no, he died. And you can't do anything. Still, you have to be strong. And you are. It's the only choice that you have. Because the way that you're following, it's not so personal. And just the third day of your dad's death, you're going to your office. You are walking as a so normal person, without showing any pain to anyone. I think this is all so simple and so normal. This all don't need courage. This all needs a little bit the knowledge of the need of humanity, the need of humans, the need of the world, the need of woman, the need of human. And the way that you learned it out of your own life, that how important it is to not give up. Because being the voice of those people who are still not able to have the platform to speak it out needs all this. So, whatever I am, or whatever I did, or whatever I'm doing, is just, I think, every human's equal duty. And I'm not courageous moreover. I'm not amazing. And thank you so much for that beautiful speech and words describing me and my life. But seriously, I'm not that much amazing. I'm just a simple, normal human being, and I'm trying to be the same way all my life. It's all about me. Because I think, and I know, and I trust, and I believe how important it is to be like this in a country like Afghanistan. Because I know there are too many girls, at least in my own closing families, they don't have right to choose at least their universities. My younger, so many girls in my family, they're so young than me. I remember their birthday. And now these girls are sitting at home and taking care of 2 and 3 babies with no educational future, at least previously, but now it's all gone to 0 and gone to 8. So this, And these all women, I think, being their voices, a normal responsibility, just I'm taking care and taking it all forward with me and carrying it out. So that's all about me and what I am doing. And whatever is happening today in my country, whatever is happening around the globe, and however is the world treating me, my generation, my country, my women of the country, the human beings of the country, it's really amazing. I really can't. Sometimes I'm like, I think I'm in a shock. I think maybe I missed something in between. I was in a dream previously 20 years, or maybe I am in a dream right now, or a nightmare right now, because I feel so disconnected to the world. I feel my country was never ever part of the world, because within these 2 months, 2.5 months, we saw what and how the world is for us. Can you imagine how hard it is selling your 12-year-old daughter for 50,000 Afghani, which is $500? Can anybody imagine how hard it is just to be a loyal son for your country, or a loyal person for your country, or just a normal citizen of your country who served your country? You are waiting every second of your death back inside your house, and too many people are getting killed the same way. There are every day like tens of killings. People are dying and gets murdered just because of serving their country, just because of being part of developments, part of the well for their country, for their nation. Women are abandoned. Girls are not able to go to school. There are too many girls. 2 months ago, they were going to this tuitions and was getting ready for university entrance exam at the end of year. And now they are just sitting at home, and they have nothing and no light ahead. Do you know, can you imagine how hard it is? Do anyone imagine the responsible of a family, maybe 6, 7 children, or is a woman who was working in one of governmental or non-governmental offices, or wherever she was working, and right now she is abandoned, and she had to just sit at home and not able to go out and work, and she sees her children are dying because of the lack of food. Just 2 days ago, we had the news that 8 children were died in one of the parts of the country just because of the lack of food, just because of the hunger. It's 2021. People are going to live in Mars. World is so busy. UN, NATO, European Union, USA, blah, 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 too many things. They are so busy. They are doing their jobs. Thank you, but what? But what? eight child, or it's just a news of like one part of the country, and it was the news that we could get it on social media somehow. But Afghanistan is not just a small part of the country. It's 34 provinces and now about 32 million of people. Do anyone know how it is and why it is? Could we really, anyone, when as an Afghan, I'm talking always about these all. I'm sorry, Mike. I'm just taking a few more minutes of you people. I know it's so late, but I'm taking a few more minutes before you say anything. As an Afghan, when I'm talking about these all, people are just yesterday. I was commuting airport with some people. I'm not gonna give more details on that, but the man who was sitting with me on in the same car commuting to airport, he was like, "Oh, we did our part. Now it's up to Afghans. They need to decide themselves. We don't care. We already sacrificed a lot." And I was like, was I responsible for you coming to Afghanistan in 2001? That time I was just 6 years old baby. I was just a baby girl. Well, am I responsible for you coming out so irresponsibly from Afghanistan and putting this nation and country and a generation in a fire, when I am not responsible for you coming and getting out? Then I don't care what you did, because I see nothing as a result at the end of the chapter. For the situation in Afghanistan, everyone have equal shares. Not only Afghans, not only Afghan politicians, not only Afghan government, international community, media, nation, politicians, decision makers, policy makers, strategy makers, everyone share the blame. I share the blame. Maybe I wasn't the same voice which my country needed me in same right time. I share it. When I have the deal and I am able to do that, I think everyone has to do it. Please, let's raise your voice. Tourists are not anyone's friend. We are here to memorize and celebrate and recognize some of those people who have been fighting against inequality, injustice, and tourism or whatever. If you don't want another one to go through the same pain that these people have been going, please raise your voices. Please stand so clear by the side of humanity. At least be more humans to women of the world, in particular to Afghan women and women of Afghanistan. What we want is so clear. I will just shortly describe it in 3 sentences. First, please put pressure on your decision makers to not recognize Taliban, because Taliban are not just a tourist small group. They are an intelligence puppets of Pakistani intelligence, ISI, which is having, which can do everything. Like, we know, we recently, everyone here maybe know about the attack in Black Lives Matter protest and the chapter at the back of it. So please, recognizing Taliban will give a huge platform for tourism and recognition of tourist activities. Secondly, it's about humanitarian aid. Please pave the way for humanitarian aid supply organizations like WFP, like ICCR, like IRC, like UNHCR to help people in Afghanistan. Please do not pay dollars to Taliban or to Talib government. because there is no guarantee they will not use it again for terrorist activities back in Afghanistan or out of Afghanistan. And the third one is, please stand in solidarity. You do your own part. Everyone can share their own part and do it the same way. So this is the need of this not only this country, I think this is the need of all globe, everyone, all around the world. On 5th November, it's my dad's first anniversary. And I really miss him. I saw this gentleman with these uniforms. My dad was a colonel. He was also wearing beautiful military uniforms. I miss him too much right now. So I don't want another girl to go through the same way. Please and please. If you stay silent the way you are, it will happen and again for people all around the globe, and you will have at the end just a regret or just a ceremony or just an event to share the pain. It's nothing. It doesn't make sense. It's nothing that we needed. The statements of UN, the statements of politicians, the statements of decision makers or whatever, the statements is not a pill for my pen. I need action. Please and please, I need concrete action. Not we need a concrete action. I think the globe needs a concrete action for terrorist-sponsor countries, for terrorist-sponsor companies, or whatever around the world, to stop terrorism, to use these causes for support humanity around the globe. So at the end, the way Greece says okay to Nazis, I say okay to Taliban, I say okay to Pakistan, I say okay to all those people who are judging me for my dress, for my clothes, for my thoughts, for my word, for my religion. If I wear this dress, if I wear my scarf, it doesn't mean I support Taliban, I support extremist ideologies. It's just because I love my tradition, I love my colorful dress of tradition, and I am really, really, really in love with whatever I taught from my mom, my parents, and my grandparents, and my history of my country. Thank you so much.
Tonight, Zarifa, Luis Manuel, and His Holiness elevated what Aristotle called the greatest quality of the mind next to honor, courage. It brought us to where we are today and will take us to where we go tomorrow. Thank you and good night.